Hey my loves, Grand Rising, it's me, Oracle Brigette. It is 11:20 a.m. here in Miami, and I just finished a workout a moment ago, and I have something to tell you because I feel in the past there used to be a lot of shame around being abused. In the past, the way that, our social lives, our society was set up, it was like people who were being abused hid it. They felt ashamed because they were being abused, and they hid that they were being abused. And abusers leaned into that. Abusers took advantage of the fact that people, their victims, were ashamed of the abuse and would hide the abuse. And it, on some occasions, still to this day, takes people who are being abused longer to ask for help because they harbor so much shame about being abused. They're harboring so much shame. They feel so much shame about the abuse. They feel ashamed because of someone else's awful behavior, but really they feel ashamed because they feel they allowed that behavior, and so they think that they somehow deserve that behavior, and it's a really sad thing to witness. But ultimately, someone choosing to be a bad person, someone choosing to abuse, that's their fault. That's them doing a bad thing. That's their poor choice. Okay? We move throughout life and we try to move our best and to do our best to create relationships with healthy people. And our intention here is always to create relationships that are healthy with healthy people and to have healthy dynamics in our relationships. And so sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes next thing we know, we're in a dynamic with someone, and what they're bringing to the dynamic, what they're bringing to the table is not healthy. It doesn't make the dynamic work for your well-being. And so you can't engage with it anymore. But everybody, thank you so much for letting me know that this resonates and that this is right on time. Amazing. We're all here. We're all in this together, okay? So in the past, I see how abusers have leaned into people being ashamed that they are being abused and not telling anyone about the abuse that they are experiencing because of that guilt and shame that they feel about the awful treatment that another person, that they are a victim to from another person. How can we turn that around? Now, how can we turn that around? If it's not obvious, we are no longer protecting abusers. Someone who chooses to use their adult free will to abuse another is not going to be protected. Thank you, expose them. They're not going to be protected. Oh no. If this person has done something, we're talking about it. We're talking about it. We're not ashamed of it. Not only are we getting away from it, but we are talking about it. We're talking about it, honey. We're talking about this shit. Okay, if they really want to be abusive, if someone really wants to be abusive, then that's their prerogative. But what they're not going to have the luxury of is guilting and shaming someone into protecting their abusive nature. It sucks enough that one person got abused, right? But for that person to keep quiet, so the abuser just keeps abusing and abusing and abusing, no, we don't do that anymore. That abuser abuses the first time, and now they are forever flagged an abuser because that first person they abused spoke up about it. I'm not talking about canceling. I'm not talking about that. I don't know what the fuck that shit is. That's weird. That's some weird manic behavior. Whenever you get it, the consensus consciousness, a whole group of people suddenly agreeing to do something, yeah, no, that's manic, collective unconsciousness. However, if someone chooses to abuse you, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. You didn't do something wrong by trusting someone to not be an abusive person. Because we're moving forward with the default that, yeah, we've got healthy relationships, so I'm here with healthy relationship energy. And when it's not healthy relationship, I'm like, what? No, I'm not going to keep quiet about that. Hell no. All my girls need to know what that person does behind closed doors. My friends need to know if that person's an abuser so they don't get along with them. People who get away with abusing by making other people feel shameful and guilty for being a victim, their time is over. Their time is over. And people, especially people over the age of 40, who lived in a different time in the world, they are used to not having to be accountable for really awful and vicious, harsh behavior upon another's, abusive behavior. They are used to not being accountable because there's a certain amount of suffering that you have to take when you're living in the third dimension, which at one point was the only dimension we had access to, mind you. When you're living in hell on earth, there's always some amount of suffering. There's always some amount of sacrifice. There's just always a hellish energy, because when you're in the third dimension, you are being fed off of by demonic entity attachments. So people who spent most of their life in hell on earth because of how old they are, yeah, it's going to be harder for them because they're having to rewire what's appropriate, because they came from a time when abusers just were abusing and got away with it, and their victims were the ones whose lives were forever altered for the negative, and the abusers got to go on continuing to make the world a worser place. That's not life anymore, honey. That's not how it goes anymore. The moment somebody abuses you, it's more like, oh shit, you just put yourself out. You just did that to yourself. The moment someone abuses you, oh shit, you just did that to yourself. The moment someone tries to project toxic behavior and abuse onto you, first you get the fuck away, right? And then at the same time, there's that behind in the back of your head like, oh shit, they just found the megaphone, bitch. They just found the megaphone. I guess they want the world to know. If they didn't want the world to know, they wouldn't have done it. They wouldn't have done it. In the past, abusers, people who victimized others and took advantage of others, they could do this thing where they were like, I want to put the right words to it. They could do this thing where they were like, don't be a shit talker. Why are you always talking shit? Why are you gossiping? It's so negative. Don't talk about people behind their backs. And they would guilt people who were victims into not exposing their abusers under the guise of, don't talk about me. Don't talk bad about me. No, bitch, I'm talking about me. No, that happened to me. As soon as you were abused, that shit happened to you. You don't keep that toxicity inside of you. I don't want you to feel shame and guilt and hide that away from the world. Oh, you gave this to me? Well, I don't want it. Take it, world. Guess what you gave me? I don't want it. I do not consent to this abuse. Into the world it goes. Into the public eye it goes. And yes, it is exposure season. Amen. If they don't want you to talk about how they're an abuser, then they shouldn't abuse you. Because if you have been abused, talk about it. Because there's so much ancestral shame and guilt around being a victim. There's so much DNA shame and guilt around being a victim that it's almost natural for people who are abused to stay quiet. That's why I say, if you are being abused, if someone has abused you, talk about it. We need to rewrite the programming by not assuming that because you're a victim, something's wrong with you. No. We need to flip that script back into something that feels a lot more healthy. We're talking about it. We're talking about it. We're talking about it. Are you kidding me? We're talking about it. The fuck? You abuse me, you abuse everyone. Everyone's got to know what happened to me. Everyone's got to know. All right, I'm going to read some of the comments. Ooh, hold on. Let me light up and then we'll get into the comments. Abusers depend on their victims feeling ashamed so that they can stay abusing in the dark. But now victims, as soon as they are victimized, they're finding safety and they're getting loud about talking about it. We're going to flip this culture until no one would consider abusing because they know it's already out there. As soon as they're abusing, it's out there and everyone's going to know. Because we need to start flipping this social shaming that people do to manipulate people into going with the consensus. We need to flip it, not cancellation, but simply if someone's abusing, they got to know in the back of their head that everyone's about to know about this. If someone's in the act of abusing, they need to feel ashamed. If someone's in the act of abusing, they need to know in the back of their head, oh shit, as I'm abusing, I know this person is gonna be. I know I'm exposing myself. Okay, let's get into comments. I feel like it's something normalized. I think so too. This is what has divided my family. They defend the abuser. I cannot. Good for you. That's fucked up. That hurts. That really does hurt when that happens. The guilt I felt telling my sister, my best friend, because of them I left. It's been 6 months away from him. Wait, I feel like you left another comment. I want to go up. Oh, maybe not. Well, I'm sorry. Separation from family, that's like the worst because you grew up with this community and you grew up in this community. But if there's embedded abuse in that community, what if you want to have kids one day? You don't want your kids to grow up in a community where abuse is normalized and being a victim is something to be ashamed of. I think it's better to create a new culture and a new sense of community that you can raise your kids into. Rather than trying to change the people around you, no, leave the abusive environment and enter and create a culture and a space for yourself and your family so that everyone knows that if something bad happens, they can come to mom about it. Especially if you're a mom. You don't want your kid, you don't want that shame to be normalized about being a victim because your kid is watching your other family members do that. No. The moment something abusive happens to your child, you want your child to know that they can come right to you and tell you about it and there's no shame. It was always don't discuss what goes on in the house outside of the house. Privacy is one thing. Protecting abusers is another. Been laying his dirty ass laundry out and now I'm not just the problem but also the crazy person and I accept it all as long as his ass is being exposed. I mean, are you emotionally regulated? Definitely looks crazy. No matter what, you're gonna look crazy as long as you're not emotionally regulated. You're supposed to separate from society and alienate yourself and go into your cave of emotions to transmute your emotions, whatever that means for you. You're really not supposed to be transmuting your emotions and talking about what happened to you at the same time. That's too much. There's very few, only like women's spaces can handle that. But when you're ready to just be like, yes, absolutely. Well, no, I don't want to work with that person. That person punched me in the face. So I don't work with people who assault people. Rather than being like, I can't work with them. They punched me in the face. I swear they punched me in the face. You know they punched me in the face. Like, whoa, regulate your emotions first. Go cry like that to a safe, healing space. And now when you're out in public, you can be like, no, I need to press charges on that person. It needs to be public. This is real. This happened to me. They chose to do that thing. It's not my fault that they chose to do that thing, but there are laws. There are laws. There's ethics. There is integrity. That's a real thing that already exists. And people who want to flip it and twist it so they can protect and continue to perpetuate abusive behavior, we're reprogramming that. Oh, I'm so sorry, Gabby, to read that you've had readings and they told you should try and work things out with your abuser. That's probably very confusing to hear from a trusted source. I will not ever tell you that ever. As soon as someone has shown to you that they choose with their free will, if someone's autistic, if they're your child, if there's mental health issues, if there's issues, sure, you might need to and you want to keep a relationship with them, you might need to, meet them in a padded room, meet them with a police officer present. You might have to shift the dynamics of the relationship to maintain the relationship. You might have to meet them literally when they're in jail and you're, meeting them with a glass wall between you. Sure, you can still have a relationship with someone as long as it's correct for the actual dynamics of what they're bringing to the table. But if someone chose with their free will to abuse you and then never chose with their free will to realize they were wrong on their own, apologize on their own, change their life and become a better person on their own, it's their free will that's going to do it. You being like, hey, you abused me and I want an apology. That's an absolutely no. Grown-ups are grown-ups, y'all. If someone knows they were abusive, they know they were abusive. They just thought that you would stay quiet about it. They made their choice. They just thought you would stay quiet about it. That's where they fucked up. They thought you would stay quiet about it. And they thought they could keep living their life. La, 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 la. Because people that are abusive like that, there's no accountability. They move through life inconveniencing others, hurting others, and making the world a worse place. And nothing is stopping them because of our culture of people who are victims feeling ashamed of being a victim and abusers having the gall and the audacity to just keep going and ruining the world. No, dude. Claro que no. I do not advise getting readings that are not astrology related from a person with a penis. If you were not born with a uterus, you do not have a portal in that place where the connection to the divine exists. Men have connections to other things that are powerful and amazing. But if you're going to someone for spiritual healing and spiritual guidance, not somatic, not physical, but just the spiritual side, I do not advise choosing a person with a penis for that. When God made humans that actually have a portal to the actual divine inside of their bodies. And other humans with a portal to the divine outside of their bodies. Just hanging outside their bodies. Different purposes. We can get into that in a different video though. This video is simply to reinforce, to reiterate this light code. That we're reprogramming our social lives. We're reprogramming all of this crap from hell on earth that makes people who hurt others feel untouchable, and those who are hurt feel ashamed to get help, feel ashamed to let other people know that they have been abused. No. We want to put the audacity back in the victim's hands. We want to put the confidence back in the victim's hands. It's like you've seen it in a kid, in children. It's so adorable and obvious. When a kid fucks up and they know it, they do something and immediately their face goes, they know. When a kid fucks up, immediately the kid fucks up and they're like, oh, sorry, mama, I didn't mean to, I'm sorry. When someone genuinely fucks up, they know it and they're immediately like, oh shit. There's no in between of a person doing something that hurts another, looking at it happen, and then the person who they're hurting saying, hey, please stop hurting me, and them saying, oh shit, I didn't realize, because they did realize, because they hurt on purpose. They're hurting on purpose. They're hurting people on purpose. Abusers hurt people on purpose. And they just think that the people that they're hurting are going to stay quiet so that their bodies can form the ladder for the abuser to keep climbing and thriving in life. Just climbing up the bodies of all their victims, because no one's ever going to hold them accountable. And as long as you keep quiet about the abusers in your life that are abusing you, not other people. You can't do this for other people. This is what you have to do for yourself only. Where you are exposing, where you are not staying quiet about abuse, where you are not retaining that energy, where you are not holding that energy in your body, where you are not staying quiet, where you are sharing that and talking about what that person did, you prevent yourself from being just another body that they use to climb to get to the top. Because we're done with that structure. No, we're done with that structure. People know when they fuck up. People know when they are abusive. They just play stupid. Oh, I didn't realize. And they play stupid so they never have to be accountable, so they can keep abusing. And just saying, oh, I didn't know. Playing stupid so they never have to be accountable, so they never have to reach that level of understanding, because they're just, I didn't realize. We see through that. Okay? And kind of a separate topic, but similar, is the energy of triggered people who are ignorant. Oftentimes, people will make an excuse for ignorance. No. People will make an excuse for... No. Sorry. I like to use clear language. Sometimes people have repressed emotions, or repressed feelings about whatever the fuck, right? So they've got all this negative energy inside of them. And then they read something. They think it means something. And so they decide to get upset about what they read, for instance, or see. And all of this repressed emotion comes up. And then instead of them transmuting the emotion and healing, what they do is all this emotion comes up, and then they look at this thing they read or they see that triggered the emotion, and they channel all of that toxicity that they were holding in their body towards this thing. Like when I made that reel about yes or no questions, and so many people got triggered saying, yes or no questions aren't the only kind of reading you can do. Oracle Brigette, you should die, because yes or no questions aren't the only reading you could do. And I just was like, it's crazy how people are acting as if because I made a video about yes or no questions, they're acting as if that means that I think yes or no questions are the only kind of reading you can do. And that is such a stretch. Cognitively, it's illogical to assume that because I make a video about, I make a 30-second video about one thing, that it implies it's the only thing I think is real. That just really is illogical. And I think the fucking 15,000 people who liked it understood that I was touching on an aspect, a facet. I was touching on one small thing, and my choice to talk about one specific thing was indeed excluding lots of other things. And just because I didn't talk about every single different way that you can do a reading in my 30-second video, and I just talked about one way. And so you feel where I'm going, right? There's no way to get around the fact that someone thinking that I was implying that that video is only a yes or no question is someone just looking for a place to get triggered, just seeking healing. They're just playing stupid. No sane adult is gonna watch that stupid Chihuahua video and think I'm actually saying that. No smart person. No smart person. No one is gonna look at that video and actually think that. They just play, I truly feel this. They're just playing stupid. They're playing ignorant because they want to get triggered, because they want to lash out at someone and they can't hold it in anymore. And the Chihuahua was chosen. So they play stupid, purposefully misunderstanding something, purposefully creating conflict about nothing, creating a false story, creating a false issue, and then attempting to start a fight with me about it. I can't go into the chat and just say to people in the comments, stop being stupid, I know what you're doing. But that's what I want to say. Stop acting stupid. I know you're not that dumb. I know people are not as dumb as they act triggered. They're just hoping I think people are actually that dumb. People who purposefully twist my words, twist my messages, and then go into the chat, I can't believe you're saying yes or no questions are the only kind of reading you can do. What, bitch? What? The people who do that are hoping I'll keep quiet. People who do that, they think that they can just be stupid on purpose, misunderstand, twist the message on purpose, pretending that's what they really think. Pretending, oh, I thought you meant it was the only kind. I thought. No, you didn't. You knew that shit was fire and on point. And you got triggered. And so you decided to pretend it meant something else so you could be upset about something because you thought that I would just absorb your abuse. You thought what? That I would have a nice conversation, debate, fight with you in my chats when you're being stupid on purpose and I know it? Just because you want to be triggered in my comments? It's like someone being like, Oracle Brigette, this Chihuahua video is against gay rights because it's not mentioning gay rights. But it's not about gay people. It's not about rights. This video is about yes or no questions for tarot readings. Like, I'm not going to debate someone in the chat about that. I'm going to be like, babe, you're off topic. That's not what we're talking about here. That's it. So, you will see in the comments of my popular videos, people so badly want attention, so desperately, that they think they can abuse me on my own videos in my own space. They think they can play stupid just to work out their issues. The culture that I am participating in evolving us to and manifesting is one where people who purposefully want to hurt others, people who want to project toxic emotions onto others, people who want to project toxic energy, who want to fight with others, people who want to create issues, people who want to be abusive, unhealthy people who make the world a worse place. I don't hold space for that. I will screenshot it, post it on my story, make a reel about it if I want to. Because you chose to come into my space and be abusive, I'm not absorbing that. No, absolutely not. There you go, internet. Look what you gave me. Take it back. You want to come into my space and pretend you're confused so you can abuse me? No, absolutely not. I rebuke in the name of Jesus and in my name. I rebuke all of that weird energy of people playing stupid so that they can be abusive. I see through that. And the saddest part is y'all are all older than me. Most of the haters are either young kids who want my attention because I'm mommy to them. Usually a lot of my haters are girlies who look like me. But they're in their 20s or younger and they don't realize I'm 35. And so they look at me and they're young and they're like, I don't like her because she's so confident and sexy. And then if they knew I was 35, they'd be like, oh my God, she's mom. Oh, she's not my peer, she's mom. And so some of these young girls come in hating on me because they think I'm their age. Sweetie, I'm not 23, baby. When I was 23, I was just as insecure and not knowing what to do with my life as you were. But now, yeah, sexy, confident, strong, and it takes time to get here. That's for the young girl haters. And then the haters that are all in your 50s. If you're in your 50s and you're one of those people hating on me, I'm sorry that you had to grow up in hell on earth. And yo, that fucking sucks being in your 50s and older. But especially 50s because you got to experience half and half. Half a hell on earth, and now you're in this life where it's like you could potentially live till you're 100. You could live another 50 years in a completely different reality, devoid of the suffering that you had to grow up in. But instead, you're in my chats perpetuating the suffering of hell on earth because you want to play stupid and pretend I'm a fucking retard. And act like you are too. No. Performance. It's all Karen behavior, right? It's all Karen shit. Karen. We can't call them nanas and pop-pops. 50 is like very close to my age. 35, 45. That's 15 years older than me. I'm going to say nanas and pop-pops are people in the 70s. And they're probably not on the internet. But like people in their 50s, they really are like so accustomed to being abusive and being abused that they come into this space and they think I'm just going to hold space for them pretending to have issues with me when they don't know me. They don't even know what I'm saying. And they don't care that they don't know me. They don't care that they don't know what I'm saying. They don't care because they're misunderstanding on purpose. Their intention is not to understand. Their intention is to abuse and create conflict and make the world a worse place by projecting toxic energy onto others, thinking that there is no repercussion or consequence for being abusive. There certainly is repercussion and consequence. Do you know what that is? Let me stand in my Spider-Man stance. You know what that is? You lose access to people you abuse. Next, every time you abuse, people are going to talk about it. If you are used to abusing, the time of just being able to abuse people and then they stay quiet about your abuse, that time is over. Ladies and gentlemen, we're speaking about the abuse that has happened. We are not afraid to talk about our history. Baby, that's your history book of your life. That's your history book. They chose to smack you in the They chose to smack you in the face on page 5. So if you're telling someone a story and you feel like bringing up how Stacy smacked you in the face and that's why you don't go around her, feel fucking free. Because if Stacy didn't want you talking about how she smacked you in the face, she should have thought twice before she raised her hand. And so the time of abusers being able to control their victims' behavior through shame and guilt is over. If you didn't want them to talk about what you did to them, you shouldn't have done that. Now for the rest of your life, abusers, you have to hear your victims talk about what you did to them, because for the rest of their life, they have to deal with the consequences of your abuse. And abusers are no longer going to climb mountains of their victims to success anymore. And so it is. Do you hear me? Give it a couple years with us being astringent and watch how the world becomes a better place. Watch. Don't let a single fucking abuser silence you. Hey, could you please not talk about that anymore? No, absolutely not. If you didn't want people talking about how you were abusive, then you should not have been abusive. That's it. If someone doesn't want you to talk about what happened to you in your life, they're still being abusive to you. Do you understand? They're now wanting you to what? Deny your experience and pretend something awful did? Like disgusting. No, absolutely not. Times have changed, and we're shifting the culture manually, individually, person by person. So go out there and make the world a better place by standing strong and understanding. It's not your responsibility to hold other people's toxic projections, and if they project shit onto you, know that you are going to give it right back out. Oh! It's going to turn into sound waves, baby. It's gonna turn into sound waves. Someone punches you in the face, I really don't want you to punch back. I want you to get away from them. I know in some cases you gotta defend yourself. I would much rather, though, you get away from them and then, restraining order, charges for assault. There are already legal methods to go about people who are abusive. You being ashamed is not a factor. They should be ashamed for abusing you. Okay? I love you. I hope this was powerful for you. Please keep taking care of yourselves. It's a Monday. Have an incredible week. Have an amazing week. I'll be here. I'll be around. Feel free to go to my website if you want to book a reading, if you want to sign up for a live session, if you want to read an ebook. If the topic of ascension, demonic entity attachments, your vibration being contagious, or how you are a portal, if any of those topics interest you, or you feel like I'm using terminology that you do not understand, go check out my ebooks. I have written books on all of the topics that I discuss here that offer a foundation of understanding. So please feel free to go to my website and check out all the different educational resources that I have for you. Some are behind a paywall, some are in a shop, and some are complimentary. So I hope you love the website. I made the website myself. I've had it for many years now. If you ever have an issue on my website, just DM me here on Instagram. Okay? I love you. Bye. Don't forget. Speaking about a baby.